Scottsdale got a big jolt over the weekend when a loud bang that sounded like an explosion shook a lot of people up. Thankfully, no one was hurt, but right now nobody knows where the noise came from. It's the sound heard all around Scottsdale. A number of home security cameras captured the big boom that rocked several Scottsdale neighborhoods over the weekend.
There was a flash.
And he's heard from homeowners who felt it as far north as Shea Boulevard. He's looked at his security camera footage over and over again and still can't figure out what it was that woke all his neighbors up.
Almost looked like lightning, but I think it was clear skies on Sunday morning, so that couldn't be it.
A mysterious noise stunned New Jersey residents last week. Tonight, we're hearing what it sounded like.
She said she heard the lamp shake, and she felt the house kind of move a little bit, and she didn't know what was going on.
If you're one of the many people throughout New Jersey and Delaware who heard a loud boom and felt the earth shake yesterday, don't worry, it wasn't an earthquake. Take a listen. A home surveillance camera in Mount Laurel captured that loud noise.
Tonight, authorities don't know what was behind a boom that was heard in Powell yesterday afternoon. Listen. All right, that boom was captured by Steve Roach. It's been all the talk on social media.
Did you hear it? Maybe it shook your whole house or woke you up from a late morning nap. Pretty scary stuff. What some are calling sonic booms heard around the Florida Panhandle and in Baldwin County. Someone's weather camera catching it all. Check it out. This is what Asa Schlobel's weather camera caught in Molina, Florida this morning. And then the messages started rolling in. Some of you sending Fox 10 News this. Sonic boom or earthquake. I'm in Foley and I'm seeing reports from Robertsdale, Alberta, Lillian, all feeling it as well. Whole house shook 3 times. Triple sonic boom really shook house. Felt boom in Rosington community. Y'all felt that earthquake? What's going on? Well, no, it wasn't an earthquake. If it was, it would have shown up on the United States Geological Survey, and as you can see here, nothing to show.
Well, hundreds of people near Marshall County say they heard an explosion last night. County officials are now searching for the source. KCCI's Amanda Rooker is here with why this boom might be a yearly trend, Amanda.
Laura, Marshall County Emergency Management says they've gotten reports of this mysterious blast around the same time on the same date for 3 years in a row, and they're still searching for exactly what that boom is and what's causing it. Some say that blast was so powerful it shook their windows. Others say it sounded like something smashing through their roof or into their home.
Similar loud noises and vibrations were heard last year in South and Central Jersey. The source of those noises, still a mystery. In Oakland, New Jersey, Christine Sloan, CBS 2 News.
Imagination running wild, wouldn't you say? There are several reports out of South Jersey tonight. Even more booms today in the same mid-afternoon as the time frame as North Jersey experienced the other day. Still no explanation of any of all of this.
So the mystery remains.
That it does.
Officers were unable to locate an exact location of the reported sounds and sights. No injuries or damage were reported.
No, the flashlight and then the bang immediately after.
Eric Bailey tells us the blast shook his entire South Scottsdale neighborhood, and he's heard from homeowners who felt it as far north as Shea Boulevard.
I was just laying up in my room, and I just hear like a bunch of shaking and like a boom outside, and I was confused what it was.
The source remains a mystery. The U.S. Geological Survey tells us no seismic activity occurred. That means it was not an earthquake. New Jersey State Police tell us they heard nothing about it. Tonight, speculation runs wild.
And what's most interesting is people are hearing it and reporting it from up north around the Ringwood area
down as far as Norwood.
One person saying, heard a loud noise that made us literally search the horizon for a mushroom cloud. We thought we were being bombed. The U.S. Army Research Base in Rockaway Township. A spokesperson tells us their only activity was at 2:30 that afternoon when they disposed of munitions. The U.S. Geological Survey said it wasn't an earthquake either.
A military jet can cause it. Tonight we reached out to our local bases but haven't heard back.
If you were in the Sierra Mesa area this evening, you probably heard and maybe even felt a number of mysterious booms. It sounded like explosions. There was an especially large concussive boom at about 10:15. We certainly heard it here. It's about a block and a half from us. The explosions could also be heard in North Park and Mission Valley, with reports of helicopters flying overhead. Well, just a short time ago, San Diego police confirmed to NBC7 there is a pre-planned military training underway right now in the old Fry's Electronics building.
Yeah, good evening, Kathleen. Being along the coast here, so many people are used to hearing those military aircraft flying ahead, but according to the witnesses we talked to, this was something distinctly different.
The USGS say that there were no earthquakes at the time. The military is saying it's not on their end.
Boom like that, I just assumed they're flying something around.
The mystery boom heard from North County all the way into Mexico, and even the mayor of San Diego got in on the action. But again, the military says it wasn't them. A lot of fun on Twitter as well. Phil Mickelson saying, sorry everyone, just testing out some new drivers. People were tweeting, Manny Machado must just be working out. So many people trying to understand exactly what this boom was. We'll continue to dig on this, but this is the third such boom that has happened with no real explanation since the beginning of 2021. That's the very latest from Oceanside. Jamie Chambers, Fox 5 News.
A lot of people heard it and said, what in the world? But maybe it was something outside of the world, as Pat suggested.
Sightings for UFO clouds are commonplace, but it still evokes surprise and intrigue to anyone who sees them in person. According to National Geographic, UFO clouds, technically called lenticular clouds, are simply formed when strong and moist winds blow over rough terrain. These cloud formations distinct disc-shaped forms when wind flows over large features, such as mountain ranges, and then gets cooled down and condensed, which then creates the alien ship shape of these clouds. But is that really the case? UFO clouds often form over mountains and valleys. But how come these cloud ships are seen in places far from large features and seemingly pop out of nowhere? Are these lenticular clouds really just a bizarre natural phenomenon? Or is this story crafted to cover up something unusual, something otherworldly? After all, the government and the media are not new to shutting down stories of irregularities. Cloud ships, or UFO clouds, is not a new phenomenon. In fact, one of the first references of these dates back to medieval Europe about 1,000 years ago. These cloud ships have been depicted in both paintings and parchments. The art and literary pieces that contain cloud ships describe medieval Europeans' encounter with denizens of the aerial realms, who were believed to raid human lands. It has even been argued that these controversial ship-like clouds have been referenced in earlier times, as they've been seen in prehistoric cave paintings. Much of the medieval Europeans' belief that beings inhabited these cloud ships are attributed to the folklore of Magonia. Magonia, or the Fields of the Skylords, are flying realms that are set in the sky. They're said to be the home of villainous aerial sailors. This name came from the Italian word mago, which means field, and the suffix ia, which means that it belongs to a god. It is said that the cloud realm's inhabitants travel through clouds and ships and work hand in hand with Frankish tempestati, which are the tempest, razors, or weather magi to steal grains from fields during storms. The folklore claims that the crops that are lost during storms are carried back into these flying lands. Apparently, these aerial sailors pay the magical storm makers, the Frankish tempestati, and take the grain and crops home with them. The secret medieval documents from Europe mentioned earlier also describe the Tempestari. These medieval documents reveal that the Tempestari is a mystical order of magicians and weather workers who were able to communicate and work with the people of Magonia. In the year 815, Carolingian Bishop Agabard of Lyon argued against weather magic, though. During his time, there were reports of people falling captive under the hands of these flying sailors. The bishop simply called these people blinded with profound stupidity. Nevertheless, these accounts are narrated in detail in the polemic treatise authored by the bishop called De Grandin et Tenitruis, or On Hail and Thunder. How much of this folklore is actual fiction, and how much of this is a slice of reality? In a book written by computer scientist, author, astronomer, and ufologist Jacques Vallée, he tried to draw a connection between modern-day UFO encounters to medieval and ancient encounters of these mysterious vehicles in his book Passport to Magonia. Jacques Vallée then served as an inspiration for a character in Steven Spielberg's Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Vallée has become a notable figure in the industry of unidentified flying objects, UFOs. The scientist defended the scientific legitimacy of the extraterrestrial hypothesis and later promoted the interdimensional hypothesis. It is said that the etymology of Magonia came from the word Majonia, which is derived from the Old Quatrian tongue. Quatria was a civilization said to have existed millions of years ago and was home to a prehistoric global seafaring civilization. It is said that Quatrians had colonies all over the world, and that their fleet consisted of reed boats that were capable of withstanding travels over the high sea. Their capital is said to be based in Antarctica, which was not the ice continent it is today. Back then, the continent was said to be tropical. Sadly, the evidence of this civilization's existence has been wiped out by authorities. But the Piri-Reis map and several other very old maps still depict Quatria, while the residents of the Cloud Realm were called Skylords. They were not considered by ancient Quatrians to be deity. However, the ancient civilization recognizes them as beings of great power, worthy of respect and occasional propitiation. Ancient Quatrians also claim that the Majonans originally came from a very distant place back at the dawn of time, when the seas above, the sky, and the seas below, the oceans, were still one and traversable. Quatrian legends also contain parallel mythology about the Magonian Skylords and their cloud ships. With the rediscovery of these unusual clouds, a new generation of uologists and comparative mythologists are now combing through these forgotten histories with fresh eyes. The tale of the ancient Quatrian civilization isn't the only civilization to have believed that these cloud ships were more than just a natural phenomenon. Another, more famous body of myth covers the overworldly ties of the cloud ships and higher beings, Norse mythology. Let's look at another seemingly strange but more easily explainable natural phenomenon. Rainbows. Rainbows, for the lesser scientific world then, was a sight to behold, as they did not yet correlate these to be reflections of the electromagnetic spectrum from raindrops when light passes through. Instead, Norse mythology viewed rainbows as a pathway leading towards a new world, or at least a different phase of our already existing world. This leads us to a certain theory that states that the world of Magonia exists alongside ours, only very slightly phase shifted. On rare occasions, the two worlds coincide with each other due to harmonic resonance, which explains UFO flaps, along with a lot of other types of surges in what people call paranormal activity. This isn't the only time Norse mythology mentions rainbows. One of Norse mythology's more famous structures is the Bifrost. The Bifrost is said to be a burning rainbow bridge that connects Midgard, which is the earth, and Asgard, which is the realm of the gods. Sound familiar? Seems oddly similar to the accounts of Magonia, doesn't it? While the theory of humans being alone in the universe is a widely believed one, the existence of aliens or other intelligent life forms existing somewhere in space is another equally believed theory. There's a third theory that begs the question, what if there are other realities existing aside from ours? In this case, the residents of these flying realms might not be aliens from another planet or galaxy. They simply might just exist in a reality separate from ours. UFOs are often assumed to be controlled by aliens, but this theory about the sky and water being one and traversable pushes forward another controversial point of view, that other realities exist alongside us, and sometimes our reality blends in with them. It might be the case that we're not seeing alien tech after all. We might simply be catching a glimpse of Magonia during an instance where our realities blend together. It seems that the Cloud Realm doesn't just exist in the tales of one or two civilizations. Many versions of stories about people or gods residing on flying lands and using cloud ships exist in multiple civilizations all over the world throughout many periods of time. And despite not having global communication like our society does now, these stories from around the globe tell the same tale. It's hard to ignore something when ancient civilizations and even popular culture continue referencing these bizarre occurrences. Some even catch sight of it with their own eyes. So are these cloud ships that we see today the same land ancient quatrains are talking about? Or are we catching a glimpse of Asgard? Maybe we see these cloud ships on those rare occurrences where our realities coincide. Still, we cannot dismiss the theory that these might just be alien craft covered in clouds to shield themselves from plain sight. We can also believe what the authorities say, that these are simply clouds formed due to certain weather conditions. Are these cloud ships simply just a figment of wild human imagination? Doesn't the fact that different groups of people from all over the world from different timelines believe in the same thing raise suspicion? No matter the reality behind these cloud ships, one thing remains. They are a sight that brings out humankind's natural curiosity towards the unknown. Lenticular clouds, UFO clouds, cloud ships, or however you want to call it, appear in different locations at different times. If you're lucky enough to be in the presence of one, look closely, and you might catch a glimpse of something you are not supposed to be seeing.